You might have watched a show earlier. I didn't use my cards because I, in my own mind, am the consummate professional. I have no cards now because I'm going to learn all about EDM, and Clay has joined me. Clay, first of all, well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Colin.
You nearly didn't make it. Tell them why.
Yeah, I about 10 weeks ago broke my lower leg, so I was just telling them got bolted back together about 10 weeks ago, and we're walking around, and we made it.
We made it. All good.
Made it.
And have you got EDM parts in there?
I don't know if they're EDM, but there's hardware in there.
Oh, good. So you can't fly anymore because you can set the scanners off every time.
Yeah, exactly. I get it checked out.
EDM, we're going to find out what that is. You're going to educate me. I do know a little bit about it, but you are the experts. I can say that confidently.
We try to be.
Okay,
yep,
so
we are.
First question, this is real tricky one. EPA, what does it stand for?
EPA, that's EDM Performance Accessories.
Nice and simple. So I'm getting from that, you do performance accessories for EDM?
We do performance accessories for EDM. We're a leader in aftermarket parts and supplies.
Bold statement, leader.
We are a leader.
Okay,
yes.
Not only a leader, but we've also got a big reveal later on. A fantastic new product from you guys.
Yes, sir.
Market leading, world.
It's industry changing for additive and wire EDM for sure.
Watch this show to find out more. But we want your comments, questions, so get in contact with us. I've got the questions live on here. We've already had something come through. Yo from Malana. I said that with real passion, didn't I? From Malana Bonham. Malana, thank you very much. And yo. Is that like up and down yo-yo? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, EDM. A little anecdote, if that's the right word. When I joined MTD, I asked my boss, he is now CEO, what is EDM? And he goes, well, Colin, it's, and he's a time-served engineer, he goes, EDM, it's, he goes, I don't know. So what is it?
EDM.
I know now. Just to clarify, I do know now. What is it like?
EDM is electrical discharge machining. So you're going to use some type of a base electrode, whether that's wire, a rod, or a piece of graphite maybe for sinking EDM, and you're going to introduce it to a conductive material. It can be aluminum to carbide, and it's going to discharge an arc. That discharged arc burns away your base material, fluid flushes it out, and then it continues burning down.
So in very, and you've got to keep it simple. You're working, look at me, you know, it's a controlled lightning.
We're eroding the material away with electricity.
With a spark, okay. And you control that super big voltages. What's the voltage it going to?
Voltage all depends on the machines. Amperage can range from 1 amp to 50 amps, 100 amps on big machines.
So you already I'm being educated there. It's not the voltage, it's the ampage. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now, you are market leaders in the USA?
Yes, yep, for United States, we're one of the largest distributors for parts, accessories, for anything from wire EDM, sinker EDM, and hole drilling EDM. Okay, and I'm getting a clue. All the machines on the market, if you get, come on, cameraman, where are you? We need to work there, cameraman. He's just adjusting his hat. He's having hat face problems. Why don't you get in there? Let's get that. I'm not going to read it out. Come on, guys, come on. Let's work this list. All those machines you're supplying to? Yep. So we do, we import a full line into North America for wire, filters, graphites, parts for your Charmy, Mitsubishi, Makino,
I don't want the whole list. People can read that.
All the stuff there.
We've got educated viewers. They can definitely read.
Perfect.
So you've got 3 types. Sinker. So essentially, electrode going into a lump of metal.
Punching into metal, sinking down. Mold industry, really popular.
Okay. Yep. Materials. What sort of materials?
Materials, we can EDM anything conductive. So as long as it's conductive material, we can EDM it.
Soft materials, hard materials, anything in between?
Yep.
PCDs?
Aluminum, PCDs, yep. That's very popular because it's one of the only ways you can cut PCDs.
So I've got a sinker, you said wire. Mm-hmm. What's going on with that?
Wire EDM is pretty flexible, very popular for the mold and die industry. When you need very accurate fitment on components, you're using wire EDM, and anytime you get a feature that's really difficult to mill, if it's got a tight corner or a tight feature in there, EDM is usually the most efficient way to put high detailed and high accuracy features in the parts.
We'll come to some part, we're going to do a big reveal later, but get your questions in please. In fact, let's have a quick look, see what we've got going on. I've got my questions over here. We came, well, prepared, is that the right word? There you go. What applications is EDM suited for?
EDM, again, a lot stamping and molding industry for building the tooling is very popular. Medical industry, anytime you need to have high accuracy in thin parts, things like that you can't traditionally machine with a cutter, EDM normally steps in. Okay, and guys, you're probably thinking out there, I need to see some parts. We'll see some parts in a minute. Then we've got, have I mentioned we're doing a big reveal later? You've said that once
or twice, absolutely. Tony is getting ready for that. So we've done sync, we've done wire.
Yep.
What's the other one?
hole drilling, fast hole EDM. So then you're taking a brass electrode, brass tube.
Let's work out that cameraman. I don't want to be rude about them. I think they've been poor, so they need to step it up. So they need to get in there and showcase what we're looking at. So let's point to them.
So you've got some graphite blanks in there. That's for sinking EDM. You've got electrodes, these long tubes right here. So we would use that and we would drill straight down with a brass EDM drill for putting small holes in hardened material that would be very difficult to twist drill.
I'm thinking cooling channels in a turbine, for example.
Exactly. Cooling channels in turbines are extremely popular for it. Your cooling channels in carbide drills, EDM'd in.
Okay. Now that is a long, I'm thinking in very basic terms, that's a drill bit. And guys, you have to work with me on this. Very basic terms. I'm learning all the time. This industry, I absolutely love it. Every day I'm learning new stuff, really am. So I'm going to call it a drill bit. You call it electrode?
Electrode.
Okay. Yep. That is, what's that, 1 mil?
That's a 1 millimeter electrode by 16, 400 millimeter length.
And you can drill the whole length of that?
Not quite the whole length, but we could do 1 millimeter through roughly 100 to 200 millimeter depth, depending on the application.
Wow, because on standard milling, about 20 times diameter, roughly?
Roughly, and that's if you can drill it. If you get into hardened materials like a carbide or a hardened A2D2 tool steel.
Are we going Star Wars
that
there?
Changes.
Oh, A2D2.
A2D2.
I do apologise.
No, A2D2.
Yeah, I've just been on to Bad Gags Are Us.
Yeah.
I'm here all day, by the way. So, drilling,
sinking,
electrodes,
and then wire.
Wire, simple as that. Nice and simple. All right, you've got a lot, and you've got not consumables, spare parts for your machines.
Yep. Replacement parts for all brands machines. EDMs use guides for guiding the wires. So we do diamond guides, carbide contacts, flush cups, belts, pulleys, all types of parts for any
anything
machine.
For any machine, essentially. Right, okay. Call me Einstein. No, call me Einstein. No, I'm joking. America's a big place.
Yes.
My part, I need some parts, as is usual. An engineer, the supplier, or the purchaser. I need it tomorrow. Tomorrow. Can you get me my electrodes, my sinks, whatever it might be?
Yes, we can. We have 11 locations throughout the United States, and along with that, we can ship next day air, and we have products for any machine out there.
Any machine. Well, we've seen the list already. Go on, back to this. Go on, show them the list. Come on. Over there. Come on, cameraman. They're not. I'll tell you what. It's been a long week. I think they're getting a little bit late.
So nationwide distribution. We're one of the largest suppliers in the industry. So we really pride ourselves on having the supplies you need when you need them, even if they're not the most common items. Right. We really try to make sure we have everything anybody's going to need.
Okay. And now, you need to choose my words wisely here. Engineers are frugal, shall we say? Is that fair? Where do you sit on price points?
We try to be very competitive. We buy large customers, we buy in bulk, so we're able to offer the best pricing in the industry and make sure it's close to you so we can save you on shipping. Okay.
But is it OEM parts or you got your own parts? Or consumables?
It's all of our own parts. So we import our own brand of parts. We test them. We've got over 20 years experience, so we know what works. We know what doesn't, so we make sure that we get the customer the stuff that
works. That's what these guys want.
Right off the bat.
How long? You've been doing it a long time, so you know your stuff.
Long time.
I was going to swear there, but we're live on air. I shouldn't do that. Don't get told off. So you know your stuff. All sorts of parts. I want to see some components. Now this is really, it's not interesting, is it?
No,
we really sold that
That's something put together in the garage, but it served a purpose.
Okay, and what was that purpose?
That purpose was to demonstrate on our own machine some unique cutting capabilities for doing tall interrupted cuts that would typically be very problematic in traditional brass EDM work.
There you go. So that's why you need a bit of EDM. Now, I want to see some other parts. Now, you've been working, I'm going to drop a name here, Renishaw, haven't you?
Yes,
How
sir.
have you helped these guys out? So get the cameraman, one of you, come on guys, what are you doing? Dave, the cameraman, I think we're going to have a little word with him later about his...
Those were done by Renishaw. They actually got the little drone motor over there assembled that add parts like these. So that's an example of an additive build plate. So they print the parts up.
So these 3 parts here and these 2 parts here, printed on the board in the back. You can see,
Yep. And then we went through and did precision cut off to drop them off.
And in layman's terms, simple terms, because as you know, I think they're getting the vibe.
Simple.
Are you calling me simple?
Simple.
I think we're going to have to cut this off, aren't we? No, like a piece of wire through a ball of EDM.
Yes.
We're in America, some American cheese. Give me one.
That's right. Swiss.
That's no good. Same here with this part here, though, and then 3D printed, then taken out the honeycomb, and that's a gearbox casing?
No, that's actually a pump valve body.
I knew that. I was just keeping you on your toes. Now, these are some great parts here. Talk me through what these parts are here.
So these parts here, this is going to be just some blanking operations before, prior to CNC machining where we do blanking. These are some test samples. This part right here would be very difficult to do with any traditional manufacturing. Wire EDM works good. And then this is an example of a fit part done with wire EDM.
Well, let's just see that though. I mean, I want a nod from the cameraman if you're getting that all right. Davo, give us a nod. There you go. And if anybody's...
And that's cut out of 2 separate pieces and fit together. And that's the type of precision that you can get with brass wire EDM.
Absolutely amazing.
Through
That's
difficult
phenomenal.
contours.
Right, now we're going to throw to Tony very shortly to do the big reveal. My only minor problem is, I don't know where Tony is, so he's scarpered. So while we're getting Tony back, he's probably gone for coffee, get those energy levels up. You know what he's like. EDM, I thought EDM was super accurate at getting real tight finishes.
Yes.
That doesn't look to me like a real tight
No,
finish.
So sometimes we need to finish and
Call me
have...
critical.
Yeah. Sometimes we have tight finishes, we need to have
And I know tight
an accurate,
is a very good
fine finish.
Yep.
Sometimes EDM is used in a roughing application where we just need to cut something off that we can't do with any other means. EDM works.
There you go. Now, you might have noticed I was having mild panic because I'm looking over here for Tony and he's not there. I'm like, oh no, what are we going to do? He's scarpered. I'm going to have to do the big reveal. But panic not, Clay. I don't have to do the big reveal. I'm going to hand you over to the man, Tony Gunn, who is...
Right there.
Over to you guys.
Clay, how are we, my friend?
Good to see you.
And you as well. I hear we're going to talk about EDM today, but what are you talking like?
We are.
Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants, like European EDM?
Little different EDM.
Little bit different.
Little bit different
All right.
EDM.
So we're going to talk about the machining style of EDM.
Machining EDM.
And I hear you've even made up some words
Yes.
of how we're going to be cutting some material. Let's talk
It's
EDM,
a little bit
shall we?
different. Yes, we got one part. It'll drop off right here.
Yeah,
But yeah. So what we've got here, this is a molybdenum moly cut wire EDM.
Told you guys he was making up words. How do you say that again?
Molybdenum.
Never. I'm not even going to try. What is
Moly.
molybdenum?
Molybdenum is a different element, but it's actually somewhat common in wire EDM. So it's significantly higher melting point than brass, which is typical what we see in the U.S. for EDM work. So molybdenum has a much higher melting point, and it also has a much higher tensile strength. So it allows us to make a machine work and design some cutting around that benefit with the wire.
I want to kind of focus on that benefit for a little while, if that's all right, Clay. And
Yeah.
I'd like for you to join me over here because I'd love for the machine to be in the background a bit. Kind of, I mean, we got 2 cameramen working us out here, but
Yep.
kind of join me here. So the machine's in the background. Now, you already mentioned it. Brass is the known or the go-to for most EDM, or at least
100%.
that's how we think, right?
Yep.
It's typically 10 thousandths in diameter. Some are bigger,
Yep.
some are smaller, but that's the go-to.
Yep.
And it's something that you burn through, and then you gotta get some more and get some more.
Yep.
Let's describe the differences, the benefits between those 2 materials, since I would argue that most of our audience knows brass.
Brass, yes, that is the most popular. So with molybdenum wire, what we're essentially doing is we're loading the machine up with wire, and then we're continuing to use the same piece of wire over a span of cutting, similar like you do with a spool of wire on brass. The advantage being that we drastically reduce our consumable costs. So with dropping that consumable cost, we get down to $1 to $2 an hour on running costs versus your $8 to $10 an hour with brass EDM.
Okay, so to clarify, because you are definitely the guy, you mentioned to me you've been doing this since you were in diapers, and you were like, EDM's gonna be my life.
Yeah.
First you started dancing to it, then you started using the machines for it, right?
Yeah.
But you knew it was gonna be your life. So when we talk about that $2 to $9, this is because you can cut hard materials with this material that we're looking at here.
Yes.
And it doesn't dull itself out right away, which gives you a longer lifespan, whereas brass, you're going to kind of go through it much quicker.
Yep.
And it's about those consumables and the cost of repeating and replacing and replacing. Is that how that
Yes.
works?
Yep, so the technology is very simplified EDM. So our cost savings is coming from a drastic reduction in energy usage, filter usage, wire is a huge one, and also parts consumption. So it's a whole package of just simplifying the wire EDM process down for doing jobs that maybe don't need that high accuracy and high finish rate that a brass EDM does. And then along with that technology, some of the cutting properties of it allows it to work better like that on dropping off parts and doing interrupted cutting that would be problematic on wire EDM. This technology handles very well.
And did you go over with Colin about how this is more or less an automated situation with the whole world getting into automation? We got our CNC machines over here running. Yep. Maybe we have something with a little bit tighter. We could just, this is one of those set it and forget it situations when we're talking about EDM from a bird's eye view.
Yeah, so that's the beauty with EDM is if you can find the job or set the jobs up right, you know, you got additive build plates, you know, or tool profiles is, it's not a super fast process, but it runs by itself. So if we load stuff up in here, we let the EDM do its job. When it's finished, you come over, you switch parts out, you hit start, you let the thing do its job. So
yeah, absolutely correct. And I know I have a couple of questions in my pocket as well, but I want to go over the machine first because there's a couple pieces here that you wanted to showcase to the audience watching right now.
Yep.
Knowing that some of these parts come from Japan, some of these parts come from Germany, it's very important to understand this is a quality machine that lasts a long time. Yes. Not just the wire lasts a long time, but there's bits and pieces that you'd like to open up and showcase as well, right?
Yeah. Yep, so I can show you how the machine actually works back here. So the system, you actually fill the wire up, and what you're doing is you're cycling the wire on the back of the drum.
Whereas normally we're not cycling, right? We're burning through it.
Yeah, so on a typical EDM, you're going to be burning or running your brass EDM. You want to run it slow because it's expensive and you use it once, it goes out the back. Here we're reusing it over and over again where we get the cost savings.
Does that mean we're also running faster as well?
Yeah, so this machine runs the wire through at about 40 feet per second.
And what's the average with brass?
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
I don't know exactly.
But we are faster.
It varies substantially faster. So I've got about 300 meters of wire on here, and I can pull through it in about 25 seconds.
Wow.
So it's going extremely fast. Like we mentioned before, the properties of molybdenum wire are a lot tougher. So our tensioning system is real basic. We can just pull a set weight on it, and the wire doesn't break under cutting conditions.
So probably a rhetorical question or one of those Captain Obvious questions, but lower cycle times because of that speed?
Depends on the application.
Okay.
On additive, yes, it'll be lower cycle times substantially. If you're going into a solid 1-inch piece, not necessarily. A brass EDM will typically be faster than a moly cut because you can get good flushing. As you probably know, brass EDM is 100% flushing dependent. You've got to get water to the source in order to get the material out so the EDM can keep burning. So the better your flushing is, the faster you go on brass EDM. Now once the heads start coming apart and you start getting interrupted cuts, you have to slow the machine down so you don't break wire, get shorts and things like that. The wire speed on this machine is what actually creates your flushing. So as the wire's going up and down very fast, it's also pulling water through the cut and pulling the debris out. So now that same inch that a brass EDM cuts, I can cut that same speed, but I can do it over 12 inches. And it doesn't affect and it doesn't change how this machine reacts to the material.
All right, so all of that is impressive, but we only have a couple of minutes left. And I'm used to seeing these things submerged in water, but I believe this actually goes down.
Yep.
And you have some pieces up in here you'd like to showcase as well, right?
Yep. So open work tank because we don't need submersion like a brass EDM for flushing. These machines are non-auto threader. You go up top. It doesn't have an auto threader, but it's extremely simple on the operation. So you eliminate all of your wear parts and items like that you have to replace in maintenance on a brass EDM. This is simple, very little maintenance, very little cost to keep operating.
Well, I asked you before we got started, Clay, am I allowed to ask you, where the weaknesses are? And you said, absolutely, please ask, because everyone's used to the brass. What are some of the weaknesses when we're working in this world?
You got two main weaknesses. Number one, it's just not as accurate. So we usually tell people if it's plus or minus a thou, we're really comfortable cutting that stuff. Brass EDM, you can do 2/10, and that's just the way it works. So you got a little bit limited taper capabilities, limited accuracy, and then also the auto threading. It doesn't automatically thread.
All right, so with less than a minute left in this live stream, why is the demo part not submerged?
It's not submerged because we don't require submersion in this technology like a brass does to shroud your water jets. So we get the same exact good flushing, but we don't have to submerge the parts.
Absolutely perfect. What is the longest hole you can drill using EDM?
It's going to depend on how big your electrode is.
Good answer. Last one, how straight will the hole be?
Depends how deep your hole is.
There we go.
You're gonna on an EDM drill, maybe about a thou per inch, a thou per 2 inches.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate those questions coming in. As we close this out, this is my buddy Clay. This is EPA, one of the largest EDM distributors in the entire country. Reach out to them. Have you given your website yet?
No.
Let's do that.
All of our information, including info on this, is on www.edmperformance.com. And you can also email us information@edmperformance.com, and then find us on social media, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Clay, you were not lying. You can talk about EDM for 20 minutes.
We can.
Very well done. Now we're going to do some EDM dancing right after this. I hope you guys join us as well. Thank you all for watching.